this current event for World Peace Hologram. I'm so glad that you're joining me today. In this session, you are proxied into this group healing session, no matter when you choose to participate. All you really need to do is to say, I proxy in my field of energy to this event, because time is nonlinear. And so that's the principle we're working on. So this session is anticipating anyone who shows up in the future for this, to watch this video, or who is present with us today. So welcome. The topic for today's World Peace Hologram, I had a slightly focused topic, and it's to do with a story here in Canada that has actually been on my mind and reached my heart for a very long time. It's a news item. If you just Google Indigenous women in Canada, you'll quickly pick it up and get all the history on it. But for a number of decades now, it's been well known that a number of Indigenous women, and indeed maybe even more than Indigenous women, just go missing, like in the middle of the night. They're just gone. Nobody can find them. And it's the most distressing thing. Calls for inquiries and inquests and, a review of the situation had gone unheeded for decades. And with our new Prime Minister Trudeau, last year, a commission was set up, a task force, to take a look at this and to make an inquiry about what's happening here and what can we do to prevent further deaths or missing women. Even the task force, though, has been bogged down and has not been able to make the progress that the public had been really hoping for. When I read that last week in the news, it just really touched my heart. This is a story that I've been following off and on for at least 30 years. That's a long time. That's a lot of women that have gone missing. And I thought, well, how does that fit into a World Peace Hologram session when everybody or anyone can participate here? It seems like such a narrow focused topic. But in fact, if you talk to anybody, there's always somebody that's missing. Like if you talk to new people, everybody has the story of someone in their family that has disappeared or they're just not there anymore, and nobody knows whatever happened to them. Energetically, I mean, in the present, people maybe accepted the circumstances and everybody's moved on, but unconsciously, and I believe in the consciousness of a family system, the system is always looking to put itself back in balance. And if there are missing people or something that's unresolved, you could call it unfinished business, the system is always looking for an answer. And it might take out that need to know on individual family members. Maybe it's you. Maybe the missing in your family system is what's plaguing your life or causing you an imbalance, etc. So in all of our World Peace Hologram sessions, our goal here is to do our own work and create inner peace so that we can radiate peace out into the world. We know that we are vibrating fields of energy. That's what we are as human beings, and that we are connected by the energy we put out and upload to the grid of humanity, and we're affected by the vibrations that we download from the grid of humanity. But given that little concept, all of us have the opportunity to make a difference in the world. So with this little narrow focus, my goal here is to help create peace in your heart for anyone who has missing people in their lives, and to upload that to the bigger grid of the family here in Canada who have this problem of missing or Indigenous women. So hopefully that will help the people who are working on trying to find the answers. There's an energy there that might support them in being more efficient, more finding more truths or more facts or whatever. So if you're watching this in the future and this topic speaks to you, I invite you to just write out for yourself on a piece of paper or your iPhone or your notepad or whatever. What is the issue for you? What is the missing person in your family issue? What's the personal side of this for you? And what do you want instead? So it might be as simple as I find the answer to the missing people in my family or whatever. And what do you want for the world at large? Now, it might be that this situation here in Canada is just a microcosm of the bigger world, that this is maybe a problem that happens in every country. People go missing and nobody knows what happens to them. So in that case, what is your intention for this problem that might permeate the whole world? What do you want instead for the world? Knowing that what we intend for the world will affect us all personally and in our own family systems. Okay, so do that. Write down your issue, your intention, and know that it is now included in this session. Okay, now just a couple of reminders. Let me remind you that we're using the resonance repatterning system of healing, and I have a map with 6 stops and a tool called muscle checking. And as a practitioner, I use muscle checking to figure out where to go on the map to find our patterns that need to shift. And I check our resonance with those patterns. And I record everything. And then we figure out what is it that we can do energetically to shift the patterns. I have a catalog of things. I'll be using muscle checking to find out what we need to do. And we'll do it as a group. So hopefully something very simple and easy. Then we'll go back and we'll recheck all of our information to see if we've shifted the patterns around this topic. When we've shifted our patterns, we are now vibrating at a higher frequency, or we are coherent, and what we experience, what we resonate with, if we resonate with the positive statements of our session, that's what we'll experience out there in the world. Okay, let's get started. So I'm checking if we need any, and the map, by the way, has orientation, problems, intentions, repatterning, healing exercises, and positive actions. So what we need right now is to begin just right with the repatterning we do. So I'm going to go to something called the inner and outer peace repatterning. And on muscle checking, we need to read something about this repatterning. We don't. We need orientation from the system. We don't. So our statement then we'll start with the general global statement, that global, and I'm writing, by the way, as we go along. So I know you're over there, and my notes are over there, and my catalogs are over here. So you'll see me dancing around here. So global, our first statement for this healing session is that global peace is disturbed because of the missing Indigenous women. I'm going to put issue in Canada, and that the task force is bogged down. It's taking them a long time to come back with answers or solutions or even get started, even though we've wanted it for so long. So that's the statement. Global peace is disturbed because of the missing Indigenous women issue in Canada, and that the task force looking after it is bogged down. In checking our collective field of energy for this problem, we're on for that. Now I'm going to make a second statement, and that's around the personal issue. Now the personal issue is to do with missing people in our lives. It is. So this is where you write down your own issue for you. What's the personal issue you have regarding missing people in your family? I'm going to make a global statement to proxy everybody's statement. And I'll start with blank. So fill in the blank with the name of someone who's missing. Is missing from our family. And muscle checking, no one talks about it. Topic is taboo, let's say, typically is. And it causes grief and stress. Now, you might write out for yourself what emotions does it cause for you that are negative. And I've just taken a global one for everybody. It causes grief and stress. So blank, so let's make, I'm going to put a made-up name here and say typical Emily is missing from our family. No one talks about it. The topic is taboo, and it causes grief and stress. And muscle checking, we resonate with that, with every one of us having someone missing in our family and that scenario taking place. So we're on for that. Again, what we experience is what we resonate with is what we experience. Now, what do we want instead? So instead, for the bigger issue of the world, I'm just looking at my notes here. Name an intention addressing the global situation. I'm going to make the intention that the task force charged with finding answers for Canadians is supported by all levels of law enforcement, let's say. That's a good place to start. Enforcement, provincial jurisdictions, because it's probably Canada-wide. Government, say, and the public. And we need to list more. Oh, we need a bit more detail to that statement. Information, I'm just intuiting what might be needed here. Information is brought to the light of day serendipitously, meaning happy accident, by people who now feel safe to do so. And we need to list more? No, that's it. And we need both of those phrases, yes. So I'm going to make this global intention now for the situation in Canada, which may well be throughout the world. The task force charged with finding answers for Canadians is supported by all levels of law enforcement, provincial jurisdictions, the government, and the public. Information is brought to the light of day serendipitously by people who now feel safe to do so. And we don't resonate with that lovely statement. Imagine if we did. Okay. All right. So now we need a statement of intention for you. What do you need for the missing people in your family system? So I'm going to make a global statement that I find, or maybe it's our family, resolves issue of missing people in our family. Well, we need to say more. We need more details. You might have more details that you want to add to your personal intention for the missing in your family. We need anything else. No, so I'm tempted to like write a storybook here, but muscle checking, our collective energy only needs that one little statement. So I'm going to say our family resolves the issue of missing people in our family, and we're off for that intention. Okay. Now here's the interesting part. You'll say, you know, what has my family situation got to do with that thing over there in Canada? Well, if you believe that we're pulsing fields of energy, then you'll know we're all connected one way or the other. And so what happens over there is basically one way or another affecting us over here. But if we don't resonate with that concept, then we can't get the benefit of knowing that and then basically taking advantage of the inner technology that can make a difference for us and the world. So consequently, this next statement, let me just organize it first, and then I'll say it. Just typing it out. And we need to say it this way. Yes. So the statement is, my issue of missing people in my family system reflects the world issue of missing Indigenous women in Canada. And muscle checking, I'm off for understanding that my issue is reflected in the bigger issue. So do you see how that works? If I can resonate with understanding that you know, if I resolve my family issue, the world issue now disappears, and vice versa. Healing happens up the ladder and down the ladder. All right, now so those are our world patterns. We need to check on the additional frequency patterns needed. We do. We need an action, a feeling, an attitude. We need to identify a stress, a sound, a major brainwave correlation, no, planetary frequency, a vertebral spinal correlation, no. These are all different patterns, but none of them are coming up. I have a few more to check. A harmonic correlation is needed. There's some underlying needs. Yes. Now, these are life needs that we all have. And typically, if a lot of them got missed when we were at developmental stages of growing up, like in our youth or childhood, and they persist as adults. So let's see which ones are involved. So these are unmet life needs. It's the need for security, nurturance, and love. Yes, so that's the first section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first statement is, I am protected. Muscle checking, off for that. You need something else from section 1. It's 6, 7, 8. It's I belong. And we're off for that unmet, that life need as well. I belong. We're off for it. Something else from section 1. Section 2, the physical needs for health and energy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's number 9. I relax and rejuvenate myself. And muscle checking, we don't resonate with that. Okay, and anything else? No. Okay, now there's 3 more sections. We need number 3, number 4, number 5. No, those are the unmet life needs involved with this pattern of missing people. There's another frequency pattern involved. Anything else from section F? No, so we have a few needs there. And then there's a repatterning needed. There is. So for that, I have a number. That's sort of this part of the process. We're going to another repatterning now. We need something from the primary patterns book. No. Primary patterns, unconscious patterns, chakra patterns, meridian and 5 elements, relationships, visions, energetics, family systems, inner cultivation, or this one on it's sort of a version of family systems repatterning. Okay, so let's say we go here. We need 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's called letting go of the past. 147. We'll see what applies here. This one is typically for working on a relationship, but we can extend that to the situation, I'm pretty sure. So why are we, so it's the first section is what we need to let go of. I'm still suffering, angry, resentful. Okay, so the statement is, I am still resentful of the missing people in my life. And muscle checking that, we're on for it. Now, you know, if this is a talk therapy session, that one statement alone could keep us kind of reflecting on what does that mean for like an hour at least. But in this process, it's just enough to know that that's the pattern we're vibrating to. We have it checked. Yep, that's what we're strong for. So therefore, resentment is something I am broadcasting all the time and therefore attracting back to me. So that's all we need to know right now. We already know the story behind it, so we don't need to explore it further. So we just note that. There's a reason why you're resisting letting go. So we have a list of statements, 1 through 5. 1, 2, I resist change. You know, sometimes we've been sitting on an old hurtful story for so long, we don't know what a good story is for our life, and it doesn't feel comfortable because it's not what we're used to. So when we're resonating right now with I resist change, we're on for that. Well, we need to identify the negative way we handle our feelings when we experience this kind of loss. Yes. 1, I can't stand being disillusioned, and we're on for that. Maybe people are not the people that you thought they were, and we're on for that. Something else? No, there's a consequence for us. 1, 2, 3, I get depressed. Well, yeah, especially if you were close to someone and they've gone missing. You're resonating with being depressed over this. So for a lot of you, if the missing person in your family is not really a big deal, this family member seems to have come to terms with it and moved on, but you still find yourself getting sad or depressed for no reason. It might be that this is the little pattern coming back, creating unresolved grief and sadness for you. And we need something else from D. No. There's a negative pattern relative to forgiveness. No. So we're pretty forgiving, apparently. But now we've got a declaration. We're going to say out loud. So say that you can say this one with me. I recognize these limiting patterns and now let them go. And we're off for doing that, but I'm going to write that down. I recognize these limiting patterns and now let them go. In fact, that's like a healing modality, but I've muscle checked it anyway. We'll resonate with letting them go in a little bit. So what do we need instead? Instead, what are the positive patterns? We need 1, 2, 3. Say out loud, I welcome change. Well, we don't resonate with that. Welcome change. And that's off. We need something else from G, from H. 1, 2. I am capable of tolerating the pain of loss. We're off for that. That's the pattern that we need. I'm capable of tolerating the pain of loss. That's off. We need to identify the way you need to handle your feelings when experiencing loss. 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 6. I accept being in pain and I stay centered. And we're off for that. Okay. And we need anything else from H? We don't. We need to identify a positive consequence of letting go with ease. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a deeply personal one for everybody. I have aspirations and move towards my dreams. And we're off. You know, if you've been bogged down or held down with the grief of having someone missing in your life, there are no answers, etc. It could be that your own dreams and aspirations have been put on hold or completely dissolved. So that statement's going to help us get back on track. And we need to do it, if only for the sake of our loved ones, so that we contribute to their life, not take away. So we need something else from 1 through 15. We don't. We need to identify a positive pattern needed in order to forgive. No, so as a group energy, we're pretty forgiving about this whole situation. We don't need a statement from there. We need to identify the positive pattern needed to take responsibility for what we've experienced. No, we're pretty responsible people too. And we need a declaration about these positive statements. We do. So the positive declaration is, I choose to integrate and learn all these positive patterns now. And we're off for that. Okay, now there's an action that we need to take. We need section M. We don't. There's a whole thing. If you're doing an actual individual session, there's some things that you can do. But for our group repatterning, we're going to give this one a miss because it's not applicable. We need to acknowledge the transformation in consciousness and end the session. Yes, so this is, we're going to do this and we'll see what else we need from the repatterning per se. We need 1, we need 2. This session has ended and now I'm enjoying my transformation in consciousness. So I'm going to just make that this session has ended. And now I am enjoying my transformation in consciousness. And we're on for that. So that's a declaration. Now we need some other healing modalities from the system. We don't. So isn't that interesting? So just even saying these statements have been very healing for our field of energy listening into this session. Typically we would check to have a whole catalog of things to check from here, the Spiral Up catalog of alternative healing exercises anybody can learn how to do. But it seems that that declaration statement is all we needed. We need anything else from my World Peace Hologram repatterning. We don't. We need to go back now and clear the statements. Well, typically, I'm just going to do this last statement says we don't really need to do this, but for the benefit of those of you who are brand new to this, I'm going to go back and check these statements. I'll say them out loud. So global peace is disturbed because of the missing Indigenous women in Canada, and the task force is looking after this is bogged down. And that's now cleared. So even though that's a fact, our energy is not resonating with that. The missing person in our family, nobody talks about, is a taboo topic, and it causes grief and stress. And that's cleared. Excellent. The task force, now the positive, the task force charged with finding answers for Canadians is supported by all levels of law enforcement, provincial jurisdictions, the government, and the public. Information is brought to the light of day serendipitously by people who now feel safe to do so. And we're resonating with that statement. Yes, we're on to that. Our family resolves the issue of missing people in our family. So even for you two at your family level, there's some resonance for a resolution. My issue of missing people in my family system reflects the world issue of missing Indigenous women in Canada. And we're on for that. So in other words, we now resonate with the peace we create in our heart is the peace that we're creating, radiating out there into the world and vice versa. Our unmet needs, I am protected. We are now on for that. I belong, we're now on for that as well. And I relax and rejuvenate myself, we're on for that. I am still resentful of the missing people in my life, cleared. I resist change, cleared. I can't stand being disillusioned, cleared. I get depressed, cleared. So all of those negative statements are done, and we'll say that declaration statement now with attitude. I recognize these limiting patterns and now let them go. And we're on for that. Most excellent. I welcome change. We're on. I am capable of tolerating the pain of loss. We're on for that. I accept being in pain and I stay centered. We're on for that. I have aspirations and move towards my dreams. We're on for that. I choose to integrate and learn all of these positive patterns now. We're on for that. And lastly, the session has concluded. There's a positive action we need, a little bit of homework to help integrate the session. We don't. So this session is now complete, and we now resonate with finding the missing people in our world, and indeed here in Canada, the work of the task force looking after the missing Indigenous women. However many of you have done this session with me now, that's the field of energy that we're amping up for this whole problem. As you tap into the field, your own system clears out, and so we send off that energy to the rest of the world as well. I hope you found this session very helpful. Your comments are welcomed. Did this session make a difference? Only you will know. Take a look at your own life and how things are shifting for you in the next few days or weeks. And watch the news. See what news there is that you begin to notice about missing people being found, or indeed the situation here in Canada, and maybe any quantum leaps in progress that might be taking place. You'll know that your energy has helped. This is Carolyn Winter. Bye for now.